welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed, the television edition. I am Matt Connarton on this election day. And to my right, of course, candidate for county treasurer, John Hopwood.
Listen, it's 7 o'clock. You can't vote for me. And if you didn't...
Oh, my goodness.
Here.
Well, so...
I had to bring all my stuff from the truck.
Yeah.
I actually had to break something down because I didn't want some Trumpite taking the lumber and breaking the windshield of my car.
Right.
Because it's unprecedented. The police, every poll has had to have a policeman. There'd been a SWAT team.
Yeah.
Because of the threats of this Yahoo-ry that are the backbone of the Trump fascist movement.
Well...
I had never thought I would live to see this in America.
The good news about that, though, is apparently...
Oh, yeah, fascism is... There's plenty of good news about
No,
it. Tell us.
No.
Hey, here's our pal, Frank Ginta. Frank Ginta is a damn liar. Joseph W. McQuaid, publisher.
Yes. Now, for the record,
And he is.
because he is the only sitting U.S. congressman ever to appear on my show, I personally like Frank.
You are one of 2 people in the entire world that like Frank.
Jen likes Frank. We like Frank.
That makes 2.5.
2.5?
Yeah,
Who's
because
that?
she's a full person. I just downgraded the second person to a half.
Who is it? Or
I'm
would
not
you
gonna
rather
tell
not
you.
say? Oh, okay.
And I just remember I was with another person who had served with Frank and looked at the guy who said that and said, "Are you crazy?"
No kidding. Wow.
But
No, here's what I was going to say. Apparently, nationally, this was not what we saw in New Hampshire today in terms of, you were talking about voter intimidation and whatnot. Apparently, there was not nearly as much of that nationally as people were concerned about. So that's good.
we have the Trumpkin. It was won
Yes.
by Norm, who generously donated
The
it.
Trumpkin. I'll hold. As you can see, I also have my head is so big it's even bigger than the Trumpkin. I got a big Irish melon for a head. But
What's
that's
your
still
hat size?
hold my enormous brain. I don't know.
Mine's 7 3/8.
I don't wear hats. Even in the dead of winter, I will not wear a hat. I find them extremely uncomfortable. My head gets all hot.
Well, that's what it's supposed to be.
I know, but it doesn't get warm. It gets hot, and that makes it itch. Oh, it's awful. Awful, John.
I have many hats.
So you think you lost? Is that what you're saying? You don't seem optimistic
Well,
about
the coup d'etat staged by FBI Director Comey, which was directed by Paul Ryan, which was to hold on to the Senate and the House, apparently succeeded. How that letter, which was, we have an investigation going on, and then, there's nothing to it, which everybody knew. That was an unprecedented... Everybody's saying that, from George W. Bush, Bush's second attorney general to his ethics advisor.
Yeah.
He directly interfered in an election to try to keep a Republican majority in Congress.
So you feel that was directed directly by Paul Ryan?
Of course it was. He was under threat. They were going to vote him out as House Speaker. The House controls the money. It controls the funding for the FBI.
But then why did James Comey reverse himself on that? I mean, why not just leave that out there?
He'd already done the gambit. He'd already done the damage.
But wouldn't it do more damage to just leave it out there instead of coming back a few days?
The guy wants to save his jopa. Do you remember what jopa means? It means ass.
Yes.
He's a two-faced git. But that's the FBI. It's always been political. It's rife with corruption. The FBI lab is a disgusting criminal organization.
Really?
But we can go on. What show should we go on to talk about? Maybe the Gary Hopper show. Or
yes.
does Gary like the FBI?
I don't know. I don't believe Gary and I have ever discussed the FBI.
This is the FBI.
Well,
In color.
If Trump wins,
Ephraim
and it's because of
Zimmer's Jr.
and it's because of Comey, I'm sure Gary will be liking the FBI quite much. I voted for Gary Johnson, of course. As you know.
That horse's ass.
Well-
Why? Because he's stoned all the time?
What's
That
wrong with
guy's
that?
higher
I bet we'd have
than
less
tight.
war.
And Bill Weld already. Why
We
would
would
that
have-
be? Bill Weld
we would have less war.
said he's going to vote for Hillary.
Yeah, very disappointed in Bill Weld. Very mixed message from Bill
Gary
Weld.
Johnson's a jackass.
Well, he did disappoint me tremendously, but I still voted for him. I try to vote
Why didn't
against
you write
the
your name in? Your own name in?
for president.
Yeah.
Really? You think I should have?
Or Glenn R. Well, Glenn R.J. Ouellette doesn't have those. You could have written in Sean O'Connor. Instead, you voted for that horse's ass for Congress.
Glenn has a gig. He's the people's mayor.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's the people's mayor
I don't
of
know
all
if he,
32 neighborhoods.
I don't know if he could also be the people's president. That's a lot to take on. Glenn has broad shoulders, but that's a lot to take on.
Does he have broad shoulders? I've never really noticed.
You haven't seen him.
He's a lot taller than I am.
Yes, it's hard because you got to look up to see. He's a very tall man.
How tall is he?
He's the same height as Abe Lincoln. I know that.
No way.
Yes, it's true.
He's not taller than Peter White. Peter White's an inch shorter than Abe
He
Lincoln.
towers over Peter White. Not
So
really.
we know about why this guy's voted for Gary Johnson. You're higher than a kite.
I wish.
And it was me that had the margarita from the dugout.
God, I wish I'd had. Well, like I said on your
Dugout
show,
on Lowell Street.
I could go for a Black Russian. but-
Good house margaritas.
Really? I do like a margarita. By the way, so you were talking about baseball on your show with
Buzzball.
Mr. Baseball.
Yeah, Buzzball.
As you know, I'm very ignorant about baseball, sports in general. But when I was a kid, I would spend the summers out in Chicago with my family out
Is
there.
it Chicago or Chicago?
I say Chicago.
Okay, that's what I do, but I'm always wrong
Oh, okay.
when it comes to pronunciation of
I
words.
didn't know this. So I'd spend the summers out there. So because I was, even though I was never into baseball, because I would spend the summers in Chicago, I actually can appreciate how historic it is the Cubs winning the World Series, because there was always all these jokes about how awful the Cubs were and how they would never win the World Series.
Right. They last went in 45 to a World Series.
Wow.
That was quite a drought.
Wow.
What's that? 71 years they hadn't been in the World Series. They won when baseball split into two divisions, 69. They won they won the West for the Cubs under, I think Leo DeRocher was their manager, who'd been to a couple World Series. But they were beaten by the Miracle Mets. Who were managed by Gil Hodges, who should be in the Hall of Fame just as a first baseman slugger. And they had that great pitching staff with Tom Seaver, one of the greatest pitchers ever. And in '89, when Popeye, Don Zimmer was the manager, they won the NL East. How they got in the East that time. Because the San Francisco Giants, which is my National League team and I was out in California, won the West. And we were on a bus going to the National League playoffs, and I looked at the Cubs fans and laughed at them and says, "You're not going to win because Don Zimmer's your manager, because he's the one who blew it in '78."
You told them.
They were. They shut. They shut it. So here I am bitching about intimidation by the Trump,
Yes.
and I'm intimidating poor middle class Cubs
intimidated
fans
those
in
Cubs fans.
1989.
And you know what else I remember about that? Speaking of the Cubs, when I was a kid, I remember Harry Carey, the announcer.
Yeah, he used to be the White Sox, then he moved over to the Cubs.
We have delegates in. According to CNN.com, Trump is at 19, Clinton is at 3.
What do you mean delegates? You mean electoral
Electoral
votes?
college votes is
What
what I
do you
mean,
win?
yes.
Well, she wins Washington. What do you win?
Let's see.
New Hampshire?
How does this work?
Do I have to whip out my iPhone?
Trying to figure out how they have this set up.
In the words of the sheriff,
okay.
Saddles, pardon me while I whip this out.
He wins Indiana. I figured it out. He wins Indiana and Kentucky, and she wins Vermont. None of those are a
my
surprise.
buttons.
Well, actually, is Indiana a swing state?
No.
Kentucky's not, certainly.
It was only in the Senate race with Evan Bayh.
Okay. So some up to the minute, up to the second election results right here on
A
Unleashed.
fascist is one, a genuine fascist, hate-mongering racist, has won 19 electoral votes. Shouldn't we all be very proud of that? That a moron, an idiot, an imbecile.
Do you think he really wants to win?
You've been asking me for that a long time. Of course he does.
You think so?
He's a madman.
He looks like he wants to, but I still think.
Matt, you're wrong.
I still think
You can't contemplate the level of egotism, the level of narcissism, because you've never seen it before. Have you ever seen a greater narcissist in your life?
I'm trying to think.
Never. You'd have to. Something has to be done. Well, believe me, the Joint Chiefs of Staff aren't going to put up with that ass. He'll be executive actioned.
Oh my. Well, so.
Well, will that get me up with Al Baldessaro's class? Speaking of jackasses.
Well, I like Al personally, but I do not agree with much of his politics.
It would help if they actually could read the Constitution and constitutional law, if they could actually understand the Constitution, that the Constitution came out of the English law, that the Constitution is the law as it's promulgated by judges. That's the Constitution. Our Constitution was like a second Magna Carta. It's not in itself. It's a living thing in the body of law. But somebody like Al Baldessaro, who probably, if we took his IQ, couldn't break and converted it to miles per hour, couldn't break the speed limit outside of a kindergarten. Can't understand that. He can't understand reading a clause like the clause about treason.
Well, just for the record, I like Al personally, but
What do you like about him? That he's nuts.
No, but
that
I
he
do
has
disagree.
no business being in any state legislature. That he's an embarrassment to the state.
I do disagree with much of what he says.
This state legislature that we have is an embarrassment that's kept this state and our city from flourishing economically.
Well, did you know, by the way, that Al shows up in Vermin Supreme's music video?
Vermin Supreme, I've asked him to be on the show.
I voted for him in the primary.
I'm surprised you didn't vote for him for president.
Well, he wasn't on the ballot. You know what? I was going to...
That's right, but you can write people in.
I know, and I had considered it. I might as well have. Gary Johnson has disappointed me.
Is that a toupee on Gary Johnson's head?
I've tried to figure that out myself. It's interesting that you raised that
Probably
question.
made out of hemp.
On first glance, well, hemp is very useful for many things.
For tubes?
For what?
For tubes? A doily divot?
I don't know. But here's the
A
thing.
divot doily?
I don't think it is a toupee. At first glance, it looks like one. But what I've noticed is, in different photos, it appears to be longer or shorter, as though he actually gets it cut. So I think that is his actual hair.
Maybe it's he has many different tubes. Like
That could be.
on the Dick Van Dyke show, the Carl Reiner's character, Alan Brady, had different tubes.
Oh.
Or we call them toupees.
Yes, yes.
A doily, a divot. You know what a divot is in golf?
No.
When you swing and a big chunk of the turf comes out.
Oh,
a
okay.
divot.
Oh, I didn't know
So it's
that.
a divot, a doily, rug.
I've never played golf. Do you play golf?
I wanted to, but the last time I was on a golf course was miniature golf, and I was drunk, and I lost my ball in the water hazard.
That can happen.
Where the water hazard came from, I still can't remember.
So
I'm tetchy today because I've been up for many hours.
were you holding a sign all day, or were you?
Well, I've been delivering signs, helping out.
Yeah. On your own
different
behalf, or on
wards.
Joel Elber's behalf, or both?
I helped Joel, helped the West Side I look after.
Yeah.
The West Side of Manchester.
Yeah.
For the Democratic Party, which had to have a guard last night because the Yahoos were meeting at the Snooze Center.
I wanted to ask you more about that. So they had to have a
cop,
guard there
policeman.
in case someone showed up and made trouble?
Figure it out, Matt. It's unprecedented.
But I assume nothing happened, right? It was uneventful.
I don't know. I'm not Chief Willard. It might surprise you, but Chief Willard doesn't keep me in his confidence.
Why not?
I don't know.
He will if you're
And
county
neither does
treasurer,
Ray
I'm
Buckley,
sure.
who incidentally my inamorata rides a horse named Buckley. But that's so Freudian. We won't go in there unless we go on the. Do we have a Freudian show, or do we have to go on Norman Friends?
There's Fridays with Freud.
Are you
That was recently added to the schedule. We're going to be carrying it on.
Come
Nation
on.
as well. Fridays with Freud.
a real Freudian?
I can't wait.
A
Yes.
psychiatrist or a psychologist?
Just his name is Freud. He's my friend Freud. I got him a show on Friday.
And what's he going to be talking about?
He's going to be talking about Freudian things. When I was a kid, and this is true because my dad's a shrink, he used to often say...
Your
according
father's
to
a
Freud-
shrink?
Yes. Can you believe it?
Psychologist or psychiatrist? Is he an MD?
He says he is. He said, Dr. Connarton.
Dr. Connarton. Where'd he go to school?
Hartford, University of Connecticut.
Oh, it's an excellent school.
That's where I was born, in Hartford. Hartford.
So you're another one of these non-indigenous people.
I'm a carpetbagger. I've only been here since I was 3 years old. Can you believe it?
Well, I was born here and spent the first 18 years, and then for 32 years was basically somewhere else.
I was born in a crossfire hurricane, but it's all right now.
I'm not sure where I was born. I think it was a time warp. Now, do we have a show to talk about that on?
We do. Time Warp Tuesdays. It's on next, actually. Time Warp Tuesdays with Tom Tittleson.
You are pushing me to the edge of some vulgarity. Hey, what's going on?
Oh, we don't have a show for that, John Hopwood. We have.
I was going to give you the unofficial 2nd Military Intelligence Battalion slogan, which was, "You can stop me off because I already I could use some French."
Do you and Al Baldessero yell that at each other when you're doing your Marine thing?
Well, we used to do it when we'd have the debates up in St. Anselm's College, you know, when they have the debate, the WMU debates. Al would be there yelling his lies about everything, about Carol Shea Porter's record. He is, cognitive dissonance just doesn't embrace the concept that is Al Baldessero. It's anything. He'll believe anything, you know. And but he didn't show up. They had the weird Connarton, Sean O'Connor people.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
I was
a whole show about that.
I was saying to someone the other day that
at least he stands for something. His lies about his finances.
Right.
He's not a guy that recreates himself. He's a Republican who comes on into the Manchester City Democrat meetings and is a blue dog Democrat, a conservative.
Right.
And then when Bernie's shooting up in the thing, suddenly I'm a Bernie person.
And you mean Bernie
Sean
doing well?
O'Connor.
Bernie doing well in the polls.
This
you're not accusing Bernie of using heroin, just to be clear.
What did you?
Well, you said shooting
going up in the polls.
We don't want to. We hate to spread rumors here, as you know.
The Connarton wit.
Yes.
I'm too tired to appreciate it fully.
Yes. You've been up since what, 4 a.m., you said?
At least.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah.
But this O'Connor, the perfect candidate when we were doing the stuff about television and mesmerization, and we had Aldous Huxley. You know, he's just a carpetbagger that came here, was going to run against Gene Shaheen, couldn't because Scott Brown and all the money, and maybe he understood who Gene Shaheen was. So he decides he's going to go after the seat, Congress, without ever having done anything. Now, Frank was originally from New Jersey, came here as an adult, but became an alderman and a mayor
he's been here a long time.
and was part of the community.
Yeah.
But Sean O'Connor's like in California, people will move and buy a seat because everything's based on media. And then he tells the most egregious lies about Carol Shea Porter. He's attacking her again and again because he doesn't give a damn. He doesn't give a damn about the veterans up at the hospital. He doesn't give a damn about anybody but himself. And it's very offensive. And these kids are out that support him. Talk about cognitive dissonance. They might as well be from another world. It's like, here we are, two groups of people, like the liberal and the conservative, and you tell them, you people, you're so negative. Well, welcome to Arigopatica, the hill where people went in Athens to talk.
Yeah.
This is politics.
Right.
Well, I'm just going to not listen to you. Hey, Dorothy, click your heels, but you're not going to leave Kansas. And at the end, some of the kids said the most fantastic stuff I've ever heard in my life. These two sides, these two groups of people, they seem to believe in something.
By the way, was that a Dorothy impression or an impression of Sean O'Connor?
No, it was
because you kind of sounded like Sean
it was
O'Connor
an impression of Rich Girard.
Oh, very good.
We haven't beaten up on yet.
No.
Rich Girard, Trump supporter. I don't think he originally was.
No, he seems like a Ted Cruz guy.
But he's totally into it because he's a racist, baiting Hispanics. What a scoundrel.
Rich Girard?
What a scoundrel.
We'll
rest up a little, and then we'll gut him like a herring.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
By the way, John, Jen sent me something. Breaking news, 1 dead, 3 injured in possible shooting near a California voting site.
Oh, well, it was probably, according to Sean O'Connor, it must have been us Carol Shea Porter people. We were transported out to California.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
I've never seen, there's lies, and then there's the desperation of somebody that just craves an office out of sheer ego. Which brings us back to Donald Trump. Somebody that doesn't give a damn about anything except Donald Trump. Yet, a great portion of this country, maybe 47% of the people, this great bourgeoisie, are voting for a complete fraud. You know, it's irrational. It's like The Economist says, there's labor people voting for this person who's anti-labor based on hate, scapegoating. It's irrational.
It's effective,
It
unfortunately.
is effective because people don't think. It's the television goes beneath rationality. Sean O'Connor, these people tell you, Carol Shea Purdy's an establishment candidate. They're telling this to me, the person that broke a story and got in trouble with my own party about how the establishment didn't want her. WikiLeaks
I didn't know about
dumped
this.
stuff about the establishment not want Carol Shea Porter. And they're telling these lies because Sean O'Connor wants to lie about it.
Why didn't, see, I don't know about this. Why didn't the establishment want her? You mean this last time around or previously? They didn't want her back in or what?
Not this time, 2016. You'll have to look it up. It's right there if you want to see it. But people, though, don't see things. Things hide in plain sight. That will take us back to the Norman Friend show.
Yes. Like the Trumpkin, hiding in plain sight.
The Trumpkin next week is going to meet its demise.
Yeah, you were thinking about smashing it or carving it, or we need something
Or
creative.
Gary Hopper might tell us how to use an improvised explosive device.
Well, I don't think Gary would want to harm the Trumpkin.
Well, he does have that video, how to blow the fingers off Hillary Clinton supporters.
Right.
We could
but
use
I
that.
don't think he wants to harm the beautiful. Look at that face. Look at that face. The attention to detail. We should remind everyone your sister did
My
this.
sister Debbie
And she,
did
and she
that.
did a remarkable job. There we go. Particularly the look at the detail with the mouth. It's
The crooked mouth.
It's quite wonderful. Yes, yes. Have you seen? Thanks, Kristen. Have you seen?
Melanoma?
No. Have you seen Alec Baldwin's impression of
Of
Trump?
course I have.
Isn't
How
that
can you
great?
not?
He's
He's got a new career if the jackass miracles his ass into the Oval Office.
He is by far the best Trump ever. Alec Baldwin is phenomenal as Trump.
There is the amendment, the Constitution. They would just have him declared mentally ill and removed from office, and Pence would take over.
Right.
No.
Well, some people think that's the plan. Who wrote in Pence? Kelly Ayotte said she was going to write in Pence.
Yeah, and she would change. There's a real honest type, right? You really believe that, huh? Like Paul Ryan at the very end.
What?
The rats that went back to that ship.
Well, he said he voted for Trump, right? Paul Ryan?
Yeah, but he wouldn't use the word Trump to the end.
Right, right. Yeah. Well, he's thinking about
He's
2020.
a coward.
He's
He's a
that's what's
coward.
really up there.
That man's a coward. How any veteran could vote for a 5-time draft dodger and then somebody that went to the Queen's board and got a deferment because his feet hurt, boots hurt his feet. You have a problem.
Well, we don't want him to be uncomfortable running around in the jungle.
Cognitive dissonance. But like I was saying, I'm around these people. They have like a small government job, post office, a VA. They got probably a pension, and they have relatives that are on all sorts of relief. Everything that's been given them, Democrats or Social Security, and everything. And all they do, I hate the government. I hate the government. Good. I hope you like the free markets without any social support. One for you by Democrats. Jesus Christ. You really do get, the country does, you do get the politicians you deserve.
Polls are closing right now in North
We don't
Carolina,
deserve them.
Ohio, and West Virginia. Well, that's true.
What do you feel? You're the one that said this couldn't happen.
Oh, no,
You go around with people that worship this person as
It's
the
true.
risen Christ.
some of my closest friends are
How can they
very fond
worship
of him.
a complete fraud? There's nothing honest about this man at all. Nothing about any position he's ever taken is not honest. Why do they worship this guy as a risen Christ? Why?
Well, it's interesting, too, that you use that term because he's so, even the evangelicals love him.
This is a
And
guy
he's
that's paid
so-
for more, that's responsible for more abortions than any Planned Parenthood clinic in any New England city.
Is that out there? Is there a story
Jeez,
about that?
think about what this is. This is
Well,
a sex.
but we don't know
Come
that
on.
for a fact. It wouldn't surprise me, but we don't know that.
Right, because WikiLeaks was around forever, right? This is, come on, look who this is.
Right.
This is a serial
wouldn't
groper,
surprise
a
me.
serial womanizer. He was always for abortion until 2011. I think I can win the Republican nomination.
Well, that's the thing. I don't
Liberal
believe
Democrat.
I don't believe anything he says. There's, I remind people all the time. There's video of as recently as 2012 of him saying very complimentary things about Hillary Clinton.
Of course.
Talking about her like she'd be a great leader.
So
great
how
president.
can these friends of yours, how can they see a person that's a complete fraud? This isn't parsing anything.
Yeah, they buy in.
This is nothing that takes any type of wit or insight. This is just a pure fraud. And my father would go sell people vinyl siding, and I couldn't believe that people would buy it. You know?
They see, well, I can give you some insight into it. They see him because he's not an establishment type.
But he is an establishment type. He's always been part of the establishment.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
His fortune was made when he used Roy Cohn, an establishment lawyer, mafia lawyer, if there ever was one, got him a $278 million tax credit to buy the hotel at Grand Central Station in 1975. Think about what that's worth. $3 billion now. And the guy immediately went into, after he quit the A. Beam administration, who helped bankrupt New York, goes to work for Roy Cohn. This is a guy who's a fraud.
Well, I heard...
this is a person that used the establishment, always.
Well, way back when Trump first got in, I heard Aaron Day say, and I voted for Aaron Day, by the way. I heard Aaron say,
Aaron Day for what?
For Senate. He was on the ballot.
And why would you vote for him for that?
Oh, I like Aaron very much. I like him personally, and I think he's a good guy. I think he's very, very sharp. But like I said too, remember I vote against the two-party system quite a bit. Sometimes just to do it. No, Aaron's cool. I think you'd get along really well with him actually. But when Trump,
I'll have to write a nasty letter.
when Trump first got in, Aaron had said that there's no one more emblematic of crony capitalism than Donald Trump.
That's exactly true.
Yeah.
He is. That's crony capitalism. He's a complete fraud. He dealt with the Clintons all the time.
Yeah.
Or anybody that he could get an advantage. He's a real estate. He's not a builder. He's a speculator. One of the most corrupt, and one of the most corrupt city of the world. And he was one of the most corrupt people. Then the casino impresario. Talk about corruption.
Yeah. Well, the Wall Street Journal, I'm sure you saw this. We might have talked about it. They did an analysis where they concluded that if Trump had passively invested his money that Fred left him instead of going into buildings and whatnot, that he actually would have much more right now. He'd be much richer.
We don't even know how much money he has.
That's true, and he won't release his taxes. I mean, obviously, he never intends to.
A complete and utter fraud. The system has broken down in a very spectacular fashion.
But they see him as an outsider. They see him as a reformer.
How is he an outsider? He's never been an outsider a day in his life.
Right. I'm not. Well, I don't agree with them, but I'm just saying
because they're idiots.
This is how they see it because they see him as a guy.
They don't think
because he's never held office. They think he's the guy to go in there.
Because he buys offices.
Right.
Why would he have to be in office?
Right. Well, yeah, you're right. No, I agree with you.
A politician is a finger puppet.
Yeah. But they think he's the guy who can change everything.
People, it's called cognitive dissonance.
And some of it, too. I think a lot of these guys have...
oh, I'm supposed to sing later.
I say yes. I say guys because, I mean, he really... the alpha males really like him, but...
give me the break. He's not an alpha male, and the people aren't alpha
Well, he presents
They're
himself
just
as such.
people with some type of disorder.
Okay, but a lot of them too. I mean, there are a lot of Republicans who
alpha males. Give me a break.
He was not their first choice, but out of sheer partisanship, well, he's not Hillary, so of course they're going to convince themselves that he's great. And I think that, by the way, is what happens with the evangelicals who have completely bought into this guy. Even though when Donald Trump talks about religion, it almost comes off like he's mocking it in front of people who aren't smart enough to get it.
Evangelicals are best summed up by Betty Bowers, America's favorite Christian.
Love Betty Bowers.
God told me to hate you.
Yeah.
An evangelical's a hater, and he's a hater. The only thing he's not is homophobic, because Roy Cohn was gay, and he's had many gay friends. That's the only probably thing you could say positive about him. He's not homophobic.
Do you think though?
He's got plenty of people around him, anti-Semitic.
Steve Bannon.
Racist.
Steve Bannon comes to mind.
He is a disaster. He's been a disaster for your Republican Party, for democracy, for everything. And he's a complete lie. This is Hitler. They've talked about this since 1936 with the radio, and FDR using the radio in the fireside chats. The Nobel Prize winner, Sinclair Lewis, 1936. It can happen here. You'll get a fascist using the radio through media. And that's what all this Huxley and people were talking about. Finally, you got him. You got this disgusting person who cares nothing about working people. He cares nothing about anybody. Think about the person that supports him. I am a worthless. This is what your Trump supporter is. I'm a worthless human being. I have no value myself. I want to sit on the right knee of God and condemn people. That will give me worth. I am so bereft of any self-esteem, anything. I'm an empty vessel wanting to be filled by this sack of merd, And that is, you read The Apocalypse by D.H. Lawrence.
Yeah.
That's the fundamental thing about these evangelicals and stuff. They want to be better. The ego inflation. They're going to condemn people. But you're going to hell, this and that. Oh, what is it that the supporters, the alt-right? Oh, mud people. African Americans, mud people, Jews. Anybody that would support this guy's buying into that. And you can't escape culpability for that.
Well,
you are immoral. There is something called morality.
That's been, to me, the most troubling part of this whole thing is the rise of the alt-right and the white nationalists.
That supports him. Not everybody, because some people just don't think consciously, and they're manipulated by the TV. So I was going a little too far, because I know some people that are Trump. And a lot of people are just, I can't vote for Hillary.
Yeah,
Jerry Johnson's a jerk. He was getting he blew it.
Yeah, I have a lot of good friends who are Trump supporters who I don't think fit your caricature.
Because you're not going to look at it. You don't want to look at it.
Well, I don't want to.
You think Hillary Clinton is going to take away anybody's guns? I listen to that stuff. That is horse manure. That stuff, if anybody could believe that, you need to go see a psychiatrist. As Ian Fleming, who's no sissy or anything, say gun fetishism, Freudism, big gun, big penis. You need to see somebody. The Supreme Court has never more enshrined the Second Amendment, individual right to the Second Amendment. All this hyperbole. Why? Why would people think this stuff? It's irrational.
My attitude.
They're coming to get your guns.
Well, what I tell people is that I think there can be a thin line between vigilance and paranoia. No, I don't think Hillary Clinton's going to try to take everyone's guns either.
How could she?
Well, their argument is she's going to appoint nominate a justice who will be just uber liberal, and that's going to swing the court in a way that they're going to
because they don't go as stare decisis, they just strike everything down.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah. It's a thin line between vigilance and paranoia sometimes.
No, I think the caricature you call it is a very true one. Empty people, empty lives.
Yeah, I know Trump supporters I would not describe that way. But
think about it.
No, I'm thinking about it. By the way, you use the word fascist. I remember.
You think running around and bloviating and all this BS is a full life? It works for me, right? It distracts you and me.
Right? It's entertaining.
What would we be doing if we weren't beating our chests unleashed?
I remember when I was a kid, the first time I ever heard and learned from my dad what the word fascist meant, because he used to use that word to describe John Sununu when he was governor. And so
we all use that word a little too freely.
And so I asked my dad, I said, what does that mean? And he explained it to me. But it's funny when you were saying that we're up to 24 for Trump. Trump takes West Virginia.
There's a state completely on welfare.
West
One of
Virginia?
the welfare queens. The place wouldn't exist but for FDR and programs.
Hillary's still at 3, by the way.
It's white rage. It's the stuff tapped into by George Wallace.
There is a lot of that.
Hate, racism.
Yep, there's a lot. Well, like I said, the white nationalists and the alt-right movement. Absolutely. But how much of this?
West Virginia should be given back to Virginia.
Do you think? Do you think Trump? Well, then we'd have to take a star off the flag or something.
Oh,
Or
let's take plenty of them. Let's give Montana, Wyoming, both Dakotas.
we could pick up
those
Puerto Rico,
states,
make them official.
give them back to the Native Americans from when they were robbed
Yeah, that they
and
were.
bamboozled. They don't deserve to be states. Wyoming, 500,000 people. It's ridiculous.
Have you been following the Standing Rock Sioux situation? With
Is that the one where Gene
the
Stein went and got
protesters?
arrested?
Gene Stein? Jill Stein?
Jill Stein, yeah.
Yeah.
Gene Stein's a writer.
And Amy Goodman, too. She went down there at one point. Have you been following that at all?
Not really.
It's kind of I think it would be a bigger story more in the forefront were we not in the election.
Come on, now, nobody cares about Native Americans. There's all sorts of stuff going on in Quebec for
They're getting
for
a lot
decades.
of support. They're getting a lot of support. Obama said, I think it was relatively recently, he said we're going to have to rethink, rerouting this pipeline because they're right.
Their contract rights have been abrogated
I agree.
for 200 years.
I agree. But if there's an opportunity to prevent some of that, that's a good thing.
If there was a group of people other than women in the United States that has to be the most discriminated against, if you put the Native American against the African American, it would be a photo finish, and the Native American would win by a nose, only because they weren't considered Americans. So good luck going into a federal court and suing. African Americans technically had rights.
Yeah.
Technically.
Right.
Technically. Technically.
Yeah.
If he gets elected, there will be hell to pay.
Well,
Reap the whirlwind.
Well, I
And that's what a lot of the people, and up here in New Hampshire too, they fantasize about going out and shooting a N-word. They really do. I believe that. You listen to
there are
Stinky
some people,
Gerard.
yes. I don't
and
want
not about the
I don't want to overstate that,
but
but there are
Stinky
some
Gerard, when I first came across him, he's a gun fetishist. Oh, if somebody steals my car, I'll just shoot him. And the guy said, "Oh no, the Second Amendment expert. Oh, you can't do that." Here's a guy of such, maybe because my view of these reactionary New Hampshireites is colored by Stinky and his sexual perversions and the relation. Maybe that's why I've been a little too hard on people.
Yes.
There's a guy, that big gun, big penis. Christ, he'd have one of those Ned Buntline specials, a 45 Colt, long Colt, which you put your arm like that, and a barrel that's 9 inches long.
So you're not.
He could show that to little Mel, huh? On what is it, Skype?
I think little Mel is
Snapchat?
probably pretty anti-gun. I think she's pretty liberal. I
I
stumbled.
thought she swung both ways.
Oh well, I think politically she's more of a liberal.
So why was she making truck with all the reactionaries?
Because they were willing to. They fell for. Talk about
She was writing her little pro-gun articles.
Talk about some cognitive dissonance. Well, she's a follower. She just follows whoever she's
bipolar.
into at
Is
the
she
time.
bipolar? No, she's borderline.
Yeah, borderline. Was it George? I might have told you this. George Lambert told me. Oh, is that the hotline? Are you getting your election results? What is that beeping?
I think Gary Hopper's got improvised
It's not the
explosive device.
Oh my goodness! It's not the red phone, is it?
Gary, how are you? No. The pumpkin? Oh my God! Is it ticking, Matt?
Jeez, I probably shouldn't put this up to my head if it is.
We're here live on the Matt Connarton Show. We've got an improvised explosive device. He says the most is because of the fermentation. It might start. What would the 4-letter? Oh, fart. So
the pumpkin?
It might fart at you. So
that would
careful.
be rude. Well, his mouth does look like a little butthole.
It does look like a bunghole, doesn't it?
Yes.
Maybe that's why we got the warning. Pumpkins can ferment.
Well, eventually it'll just start rotting.
I believe that America has severe psychosexual problems, and
Why do you say that?
Jesus Christ, look at this country.
What about it? Why do you say that? That's a big statement. We have
It's not a big
psychosexual
statement.
problems.
Marcuse, all sorts of people.
But why do you think America has psychosexual problems?
Trump.
You think Trump
is the embodiment of the psychosexual problems plaguing white men.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
and they are going to expiate their sins.
So you think that's why Gerard got on the Trump train?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. If only we had that video of him with the big ball.
Yes. What an athlete he is.
I think Rich Girard is the key to understanding the Trump. The sexual inadequacy of the white male, the resentment of this horrible stereotype about African Americans or other ethnic groups, the inferiority because they're losing their place, their prime place in American society. And a white woman, tough as nails. This sexually threatens Rich Girards of the world. He is sexually threatened by Hillary Clinton.
You think he shrivels up a little at the thought of her?
I think he shriveled up long time ago, my friend.
Poor guy.
And I don't think all his kneeling and whatever he does when he goes to whatever he has to do to stanch, if you know what the word, stanch the outflow of his hypocrisy. I don't think all the kneeling and it just doesn't work. He needs a paroxysm, Paroxym, an orgasm. He needs an orgasm of violence. Donald Trump is promising the Rich Girards of the world an orgasm of violence. He cannot reach sexual satisfaction in his own life. Because, as a religious person, he's already said, the wife said, no more kids, Richie. So it's either,
Oh, yeah, and he can't use, not supposed to use an IUD.
When he was going after little Mel, the wife and the kids were in the next room. Trump since he can't reach sexual satisfaction in a normal way that would promote good mental health, he needs the orgasm offered by political violence.
Yeah.
And this is very well researched.
Huh.
Yeah. Freud, Marcuse, the Frankfurter Mind School that investigated the roots of fascism. Yeah. He represents a big... Trump, in a way, we can look at the Trumpkin.
I'll close that.
It's a phallic symbol.
Well, this is quite... I don't even want to touch it. I'm very
Look
insecure.
at that. And can't you see Stinky Gerard mounting that? I can.
Oh, well, I'm glad.
Mounting that.
I'm glad you're able to conjure up that
He'd be
particular
on top
mental
of the
image.
world.
Well,
Think
he'd be
of
on top of
Rich
Trump.
Gerard. He'd be on top of the world to you. He'd be sitting on the right knee of God. Let's have that orgasm of violence. There is a sexual.
Spin around on it?
There is a sexual connection between violence, actual physical violence, and male orgasm. That's science. That's well known.
Do you think he'd
The wiring of the brain.
put something
Violence
on there
and
to
sex.
make it go in a little?
I think Rich would take it the hard way.
Wow.
Just like with his
Like a
dice.
real man.
Ate the hard way.
Yes.
He's a real man, isn't he?
He is, yes.
Tough guy with his sweater vests and all.
His sweater vest.
He's going to mount that Trumpkin. We're going to build. That's what we're going to do. We're going to get a little mannequin.
Yeah?
Rich Gerard, he'll be mounted. That's how we'll besmirch the pumpkin next week.
Oh, my goodness.
The Trumpkin. He represents... Hitler only had one ball, one testicle. What's it called? Anarchism. And he only had one testicle. And the OSS used to think that was one of the reasons he was such a...
I'd be a little angry.
Well, the Frankfurter Mind School, one of the sexual dysfunction was one of the roots of fascism in the Germans.
Really? Interesting.
This isn't new stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting, though.
But look at Rich Gerard, a very sick individual, a liar. And he really gets off on the idea of a Trump presidency. Shooting somebody that comes in your car. Hell, it's like the Free State. We don't need cops. We'll just shoot the people right down on the street.
Well, not all Free Staters would agree that we don't need police, by the way. There is the anarchists who'd believe that, but not all. Not all Free Staters.
The anarcho-libertarians.
Yeah.
So did you vote for Miss Greineke and the Republic of New Hampshire?
Oh, yes.
So you want to take the I hope you enjoy the national debt.
Well,
of the national debt.
I like Carla very much personally.
No nuclear weapons for you. So you think a rational person would talk about having a Republic of New Hampshire?
Oh, NH exit? No. I don't think she really... But I know, too, from talking to some of these people, they know that that's never going to happen, but they want us to be more independent, so they push for this. Our mutual friend...
Al Baldessaro?
No. He was on the show with us. Oh my
Leonard
God.
J. Ouellette?
No.
Buckley, the talking horse?
No, the journalist online who does the. Wow, I can't believe I'm blanking on his name. We had him on the show once. He does those the videos where he interviews politicians.
Oh, wrote the book?
No.
Tomlinson?
No. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name.
Where's Slicko when we need him? Hey, how did, what's his name, though? Oh, he didn't win his primary.
So
The guy from Blimpies.
Michelonis. I didn't even see him on the ballot. Yeah.
Well, he didn't. Did he run as an independent? No, he ran as a
He
Democrat.
ran as a Democrat. So yeah, he didn't win
He
his
did
primary.
surprisingly well. Didn't he
Did-
get like 380 votes?
Did he? I don't remember. That's
Hey, if Trump wins, we're gonna have fun until Daddy takes the T-bird away. Daddy being the establishment.
I was gonna say. I hope he doesn't take the T-bird away. I don't actually have one.
You know, if I won the lawyer, you know, I had a big case. I wouldn't want to hire somebody that went to law school. I'd just pick some, what was that? An outhouse lawyer. If I had, like, you know, cancer or something, why would I go to somebody that went to Harvard or this or that? They're just, you know, same old, same old. I'd go to a psychic surgeon or somebody.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, well, you know, so, you know, we'll just go with this jackass. Jesus.
I miss the.
Can it get any worse? Yes, it can, John. You've seen it get worse. Can it get any more weird? Sure, it can.
Oh, Jen texted me and said Riley. No, that's not who I'm thinking of. The guy who used to call my. He hasn't called my show in a long time. He used to call the radio edition of my show all the time. Wow, I can't believe I'm blanking on his name. Well, that's
Who came in fourth in 1969 voting for the National League Rookie of the Year? He was a Montreal Expo.
Can't say I know off the top of my head.
From Puerto Rico. He now works for the he's retired sanitation department. Coco LaBoy.
Oh, I've heard of him.
Coco LaBoy.
I haven't really.
He was a career minor leaguer.
Ah,
The Expos sadly no longer exist, but they are the Washington Nats. They're now part of the establishment. They were stolen from the good city of Montreal.
I was going to say them. I remember the Montreal Expos. I actually do remember that. Yeah.
Are you part French Canadian?
No. I'm Irish
See-
and German.
That's a good combination.
I should be drunk and angry more, but I'm neither. Well, I'm a little angry at times. I'm never drunk.
Well, you're unleashed.
I'm unleashed, but that's not the same as being angry. That's just being unleashed. I'm not as unleashed. My throat hurts. I have a cold, so I'm like.
I have a cold too.
Do you?
I was out all night. It was freezing.
When I become unleashed, my throat hurts because it's like I don't know if you notice. I cough a few times.
What I know is your anxiety about going up to the borderline of time. Which, notice me, I don't have any anxiety like that.
You know where it came from? You know what put that in my mind?
Drawing nigh.
No, great show though. It's moving. It's gonna be on right after Fridays with Freud, starting this week. But no, Gary and I. This was back when the studio was in the other room, and we were doing rock paper hand grenades. This was in the early days of rock paper hand grenades, and the progress report guys. Basically, it wasn't our fault. Joe Lar was not to throw Joe under the bus. He was distracted with something he had to take care of, but he didn't wrap up the show for us. He was running the controls, but he had something else he had to contend with. So we went a little long, but because we went a little long, Bob and Mike got kind of mad at us.
How long have they been on?
They've been on for at least probably 6 years,
That's all?
maybe more.
When was Ray Buckley on? When did he have his show?
No idea.
It must have been years ago.
But those guys got kind of annoyed with us. So ever since then, I'm like super like it just created this anxiety in me. And then of course, I mean, afterward it was all good, and now we're all friends. And we carried the progress report on IPM Nation.
That's right.
Thanks to you in part. You're the one who facilitated that. You're like a deal maker.
Yes.
You should
the
be an
art of the
agent.
deal.
Yes.
I should have gone to law school and been a baseball agent.
Why?
Make a lot of money.
That's a very good reason.
It's better than being flat on your hindquarters in the mud.
Dave Ridley. Thank you, Jen. Dave Ridley. That's what I was trying to think
Oh,
of.
yeah, he
I don't
was
know-
great.
I don't know why I was blanking on his
He
name.
was a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah. But he supports NH Exit because we've talked about it on my show with the understanding that it's never going to happen. but he wants New Hampshire to be
Hell,
more
let's
independent
take
than it is.
California, Nevada, Oregon, and Washington, British Columbia out. You guys can keep that welfare queen known as Alaska. Do you know, these welfare queens, West Virginia wouldn't exist but for the federal government pumping money into that.
No, I didn't.
hellhole.
I didn't know this.
How could you not?
I don't know. I guess I just don't know much about West Virginia,
West Virginia.
except in that song, West Virginia, Mountain Mama.
Oh, you see,
Take
you
me
never.
home.
And when you're like in Washington D.C., West Virginia is like kind of a joke.
Oh, okay.
There's
See,
all sorts of jokes about it.
I never knew that.
You didn't?
I did not. So, are there more welfare recipients there than any other state, or
Oh,
why
it's
is that?
just a welfare hog.
We're just
you know?
a lot of poverty.
A lot of those right-wing states, they have their hands so deep into the pocket of Washington, and then they hate the federal government.
Right.
But they'll take anything they can get. We, under Judd Gregg, I remember, we only got 77 cents on every dollar we sent.
Yeah.
Alaska got like over 3. And Arizona gets, I'm trying not to S-bomb on your show, a boatload of money, as Joel Elber might say.
Yes.
They're another welfare queen. Wouldn't exist but for like the CAP, the Central Arizona Project that brings the water, federal government. But the federal government is evil. How about Social Security and Medicare, folks? Paul Ryan came to power, promising to cut it. Guess what? SSDI has to be reauthorized in 2017. Good luck. I hope you enjoy the free markets. You know, these people, like I'm there, like I said, got their little government job, the pension, run all this stuff. I hate the government.
They may have voted themselves out of a job.
Say, I've been on the free market. I've been in the private sector all my life. Why don't you try it? You know?
Right.
It's just cognitive dissonance. And it all comes down to, you know, if we could only have good sexual health through yoga, and which we'll be discussing this on Norman Friends.
Oh,
but
great.
Matt's not been invited.
No. I don't get to talk about good sexual health
You're
through
an
yoga.
agnostic.
Because I'm what?
As an agnostic, you don't know the proper route to good sexual health, which will give us not only the mental hygiene, but political hygiene as we get that energy properly flowing.
So if I run for office eventually, I should
Well, I'll give you some tips.
do yoga and have...
They didn't work much for me, but...
Oh, no. Well, we
get
don't
those
know that yet.
chakras.
We don't know that yet. You might have won. Well, I don't know. I mean, anything's possible, right?
It's a Republican. It's a Republican county.
Yeah.
I tried.
You did.
I tried. But Comey nailed us all down ticket.
What
That
about
SOB.
what about Joel Elber? Any chance there?
I don't know. He might know by now.
Yeah.
Maybe not, because it's a huge turnout. Is there any news about how big the turnout was? Could be 75% in New Hampshire, I think.
The only thing I heard was that it was a
Record?
larger. I didn't hear record, but I heard larger than expected. So probably
I think
record.
the record was 64%. We were on by noon. I think we might have already matched. But I was going around the county, you know.
Did you see long lines when I went to vote? Yeah. I might have hit it at just the right time. I went at about 11 a.m. and I was able to just walk right up and get my little chip.
There was something strange. Usually lunch is really heavy, and it wasn't. It was a very unusual. Yeah, 1 dead, 3 injured.
Oh, in California. Yeah.
And you don't think there's sexual problems with the Trumpites? Hell, it might have been just, a local congressional candidate. He had eaten, too much at Blimpies and went hog wild.
Yes.
With a pair of scissors.
Well, that could happen.
Manchester's Ward 1 expected that 75 to 80% of registered voters would show up.
That is a big turnout.
By late afternoon, more than 4,000 people had turned out.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I went to vote. It was about 11, and I was concerned that it was I was trying to get it before lunch, but I was concerned that I was already going to be too late to not have to stand in line. I mean, I would have stood in line, certainly. But no, I didn't have, it wasn't, I mean, it wasn't
Bedford,
quiet,
85%.
85%? Wow.
I'm waving goodbye to my chances of being
Really?
county treasurer.
Yeah.
Well,
That is an
Pebble
enormous-
Beach, the winters are mild there.
That is an enormous turnout. 85%. That has to be a record.
Jeez, oh. Oh, this is the New York Post. It's from the Obama era. The Obama was the record turnout. I remember
really?
that was a massive thing. But down in Litchfield, they were telling me, the few Democrats down there were people that lived down in the town all their life. People are turning out they've never seen in their lives. And, they figure they're Trump voters by the look of them.
Well, it's funny because usually when people talk about people showing up to vote who they'd never seen before, they're talking about
Democrats,
right? They're voter fraud, the buses coming in and whatnot.
Well, I hope you like without any social welfare programs. Let's see if you can make a going business of that meth lab.
Oh, is that going to be legal?
We'll see under President Trump. He's certainly on meth or something.
You think so?
They changed his cocktail the last 10 days, don't you think?
Why do you say that?
Well, he was actually constrained.
Yeah, he was toned down a little bit.
He's obviously on something. Remember Tom was telling us about that. Or maybe you weren't. That might have been a private conversation.
Yeah, because I don't remember that, but I do know some. Howard Dean was speculating.
Oh, yeah,
about
he's
the
on
sniffing.
some type of cocktail. Not coke. Well, cocaine does really keep you up.
Yeah, for a 70-year-old guy, though, to do cocaine would be a little risky,
I don't know.
I think.
But when you're using professional physicians, they can do a cocktail, amphetamine, this, that, and the other thing. That's how JFK stayed alive. He was shot every day. He had the cortisone implants, and they had to give him an amphetamine and various drug cocktail.
He
had Addison's disease.
Yeah.
He would not have survived a second term.
You don't think so? Really?
No, that's why they're going to remove LBJ. And that's why he was assassinated. But that's a show for... Do we have a show for that?
Interesting. Yes.
We'll have assassination show.
Yes, the assassination show.
I think assassin comes from hashish. It could be the hash and political violence show. That's right up our New Hampshire reactionary.
Yes.
I'm gonna become a reactionary and make some real money.
Well, we got to wrap up.
Oh, come on! I'm gonna say. I'm about to announce the what was the church?
I just got the sign. Oh, the church.
Oh, the tax-free church of Girard.
The tax-free church of Girard. Yes. Where everyone.
We got 5 minutes. We got 2 minutes.
Where everyone. Well, yeah, I got.
What are your thoughts on a Trump presidency? Matt Connarton, who famously boloed, as we'd say in the Army, by saying this jackass was going to jump out the window.
I thought he might.
He might jump out the window with the care of the Secret Service.
I think within a year he'll resign and we'll have President Pence.
He won't last. He wouldn't last 30 days.
Well,
nobody's going to let the markets be destroyed.
Yeah, that's true. The markets.
Nobody's going to let Putin take the Baltic republics, even though Vika is those Russians, man.
Well, and I did predict on your show, and I'll say it here by 9. I'm going to say 9:45 p.m. That's my prediction. 9:45 p.m. We'll know.
Is there a song we could go out singing? Is there a favorite song that you have?
There's closing time. Closing time. But you can't stay here. You know that song?
No.
90s,
Is that like
90s alt rock?
I last bought a Popular Music in 1991.
Right.
Yeah. Anything else? Some old standard. We'll with the bomb from
We Shall Overcome?
From Dr. Strangelove as the bombs go off. We'll meet again.
Yes.
Don't know when.
Yes. Well,
once the bombs start flying.
Well, hopefully next week. Hopefully no bombs will fly. John Hopwood, thank you so much.
Thank you, Matt, as always. We'll bring our good friend Frank Ginta here.
Yes.
Frank Ginta is a damn liar. How many veterans are screwed because of Sean O'Connor? I don't know.
And that's John Hopwood saying that. Frank is welcome to come on again sometime if you'd like.
And I would like to be on as the co-host.
I think that would be.
He wouldn't let me on.
I think that would be great.
He's
great
a coward
television.
too.
All right. Well, maybe we'll find out. All right. Thanks everybody. Stay safe out there. Good night.